أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Your Excellency, the Prime Minister, Your Excellency, my sister, the Minister of Gender and Family, Excellencies, sisters, ladies and gentlemen, and a few he for she's. I think the men in this room are looking like they may be soon in the minority, hopefully. Thank you very much for your warm welcome, and I want to add my voice because I think my sister, Madame Diop, said everything as it is, because what we came today in a solidarity mission to show our women in Africa is that you have women at the global level, at the regional level, at the country level, so the sky is the limit. You can go anywhere and you can do anything, inshallah. I'd like to thank the organizers for inviting us here today at the end of what must be an extremely deep deliberation as we listened to you reading the declaration. We are on a joint mission of the African Union and the UN focused on women, on peace, on security, and on development. So we consider ourselves very fortunate to be here today at this important meeting. As we all know, next month we will commemorate 25 years since the historic International Conference on Population and Development in Cairo. This milestone is followed next year by 25 years anniversary of the historic platform of gender equality and women's rights in Beijing. A quarter of a century since these two historic milestones, we are seeing significant progress on gender equality and women's rights, including right here in Djibouti. I want to begin by acknowledging those advances, including the recent cabinet approval of bills on women's representation in decision-making, as well as on the preventing violence against women and girls. The representation of women in your parliament has increased from 10% to 25% last year. Legal changes are a critical first step to inclusion and transformation change as it brings this to the whole of society. I commend your efforts in ensuring that women play an equal role in your communities. We know that when that happens, everyone benefits. At the United Nations, we are striving to remove our own barriers to gender equality. Our Secretary General, Antonio Guterres, has made achieving gender parity one of the earliest and strongest priorities. For the first time in UN history, there is parity in our senior management of the United Nations, and among those who lead the work, like our resident coordinator here in Women. But let me just say, for the record, we came after the African Union. As the Secretary General has said, we will not let up until we have reached gender parity at all levels at the United Nations, so not just in the management, but through all our agencies, our funds, our programs, and for full equality for women and girls around the world. He himself is our feminist in chief. The leadership of male champions and allies is critical. This country is evidence of that. The efforts and the commitment of your president and the First Lady have accelerated positive change in Djibouti. These are examples that we are in need of globally, and we must make visible, and we should support. Global progress on gender equality today is far too slow. No country is on track, and I say no country, whether it is in the north or it is in the south, is on track to achieve Sustainable Development Goal 5 on gender equality by 2030. In many places, we are seeing increased pushback, even regression on women's rights. So now is the time to mobilize our new allies and to inspire a new generation, a movement which will, in the words of our Secretary General, push back against the pushback. For us, the year 2020 is a pivotal year. Alongside the Beijing and the ICPD anniversaries next year, in the United Nations, we will also commemorate 75 years. We will also commemorate 20th anniversary of the adoption of the Security Council Resolution of 1325 on women, peace and security, and on the 5th anniversary of the Sustainable Development Goals. All of this makes the coming 18 months a critical moment to assess progress, evaluate where we are lagging behind, to protect the gains that we have had and to accelerate irreversible transformative change. This includes addressing women's sexual and reproductive health and rights. When women are in control of their own bodies, they can make decisions that are critical to their well-being and that of their communities and societies, including deciding if and when to have children, protecting themselves from HIV, AIDS, and other sexually transmitted infections, and making their own choices. All of these issues that I speak about are uncomfortable issues in our society, but they most affect women, and so we have to speak out about them so that we can bring an end to them. Those choices, accompanied by the freedom from fear, violence, and harassment, inform women's ability to enroll in education, start their own businesses, and engage in leadership opportunities. And here again, let me say that for us, it should be zero tolerance against violence of any form, against any woman or child or girl. And I will further say that when a man raises his hand against a woman, it is a sign of weakness and not of strength. So it is critical that we have women's leadership and gender balance, as it does lead to stronger societies and more sustainable peace and development, greater economic growth, and more inclusive solutions that benefit everyone. It is not a question of just numbers or percentages. We do bring value, and there is no country that will fly on half a wing. We are the other half. From driving increased spending on health, education, and social protection to enacting laws against violence and discrimination, women leaders have a strong track record as agents of change. And today, I've not been here very many hours, but I have seen you have one Minister of Gender and Family that is second to none in the world, an incredible woman. Thank you. But with all the gains that we have made, the glass is still half empty. And women's leadership remains well below parity. Simply waiting for change to happen will not work. In fact, the gap to gender equality sometimes gets larger. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, as we seek to make even greater progress in equality and inclusion, the role of young people is critical. We need an intergenerational celebration of the power of activism, of feminist solidarity, and youth leadership, bringing together the young generation of women's rights activists and the visionaries who helped craft the ICPD and the Beijing Platform for Action. I know that UNFPA and UN Women and the United Nations as a whole is working with global partners and with you to make this happen. We will achieve our ambitious and essential goals with the full commitment of all stakeholders working together to ensure that women and girls are truly at the heart of sustainable development. This National Preparation Conference is a critical step to getting us there. I thank you for your commitment, for your ambition, and for your fearless leadership, and I look forward to seeing all of you in Nairobi.